top pilot if you don't like the danger zone.
No, this is cool. I mean, it was a good movie-ish.
Okay.
As good as Tom Cruise can do.
We are almost live on YouTube. Okay, so we missed a couple questions. Hi guys, for the next time, please think about moving your webinar in the morning. It will be in the end of afternoon for us in France. Holy cow. Awesome. Okay.
Frank, I have nothing to do with Colorado mystery drones, I promise.
So we can see chat here.
Oh, we got a major lag.
Major
that's
lag
right, major
on
lag on
YouTube.
YouTube.
That's okay, we would expect that. All right, well, we got 2 more minutes before we get started. Hey, Desi, thanks for being here. Tom, thank you.
Somebody just said something about posting a link. Yes, please go ahead.
He already did.
Oh, okay, never mind.
It's so funny. Everyone's comments about the drones in Colorado.
I have nothing to do with it.
And we know who it is, so let it be.
Supposedly.
You keep saying that. All right. I'll post a link to the YouTube feed on Facebook
from
if
Joe.
You can.
Oh, it says this is Joe. I'm assuming that's John Elliott?
I don't know. Christopher.
It's not the. Yeah, there's some of it is the
we all know
Starlink satellite.
Flying
CJ.
the Colorado drones. It's true. Sound and video are great. Hey guys, everything sounds good.
Yep, that's me. Okay, thanks, John.
Okay, great. All right, 1 more minute and then we will get started. And we'll give you guys a quick breakdown of the schedule for this hour-long webinar. At the end of the webinar, I'm going to print out a copy so that I can show everyone.
Cool.
Rob, if you wouldn't mind bringing this into the training room, that would be awesome since I know you're watching this. But I'm going to go ahead and print out what we're going to give to you at the end of this webinar, which is the comment guide. Thanks to Vic's help, thanks to FPV we have, and Drone DJ, we have created this guide on how to comment. Makes me wonder if we're limited to 100 people again. We're not supposed to be.
We're supposed to have 500.
Yeah, but we're on YouTube as well. So if you know anyone who's not getting in, just tell them to go to YouTube. It's the most recent video on our page.
Keep an eye open on.
You may want to post that in the Drone community. Anyway, this comment guide is going to give you all the information. We're going to go over some of it today. That is the problems, solutions, how to comment, where to comment, how to maximize the effectiveness of your comment. Because there are some rules that I think it would be really good if everyone followed these rules.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, dude. So at the end of this webinar, we'll be giving out this little guide. Again, it's about going the wrong way. It's about 5 or 6 pages. And I mean, literally, and we're going to go over this more, but in the guide, we're going to talk about how to comment, sharing this guide, what to do after you comment, etc. And we're going to have one more webinar after this one, I think, in February, just to make sure that everyone is getting their friends of friends to comment. Now that it's 4:05, let's go ahead and get started. You ready?
Yep, 101 participants, so let's see if that climbs.
Awesome. So everyone, again, welcome to the Drone U webinar on the NPRM on remote ID. Today, we're going to be talking about how to comment. We're going to be talking about and releasing this guide. We'd like you to share this guide with all of your friends. We're going to start by doing a succinct breakdown. If you weren't here for our last webinar, we're going to just really quick 4 minutes about what is remote ID, the problems. Then we're going to talk about some of the existing news that's come up. We're going to talk about the DJI release that came out today. We're also going to talk about what the AMA is doing to hurt our industry as well. And then point number 2 that we're going to go over is we're going to kind of talk about this guide and our top-down approach. What do I mean by that? I mean, if we solve a few major problems, we're going to solve a lot of minor problems. And that's how the guide is written. We're going to talk about that. The third thing that we're going to go over is, again, the how to comment. That's when we will release the guide in the webinar. We are going to end with a Q&A and then give you the what's next. So what to expect next. If you do have questions, wrong mouse. If you do have questions, go ahead and enter them in chat. I see that we have our, I see that we have some questions in the Q&A. Again, if you have any questions or comments, please go to the chat, right down there. And what you're gonna wanna do is make sure when you say to, that it says to all panelists and to all attendees. Like for example, Nick and Tom, you guys just messaged only the panelists. No one else can see your comment. So if you have a comment that you'd like to interject, please make sure that you're, when you go to chat, you're replying to all panelists and all attendees. If you are watching on YouTube, for whatever reason, and you leave a comment, so there's an additional 53 on YouTube.
Okay, cool.
And you want to leave a comment, please let us know. If you are on YouTube, we are aware that the lag is pretty bad. The news in Colorado is there is no news. They are legal operations. And we will be watching the YouTube chat through our Google Chrome feed. So we're going to be kind of running back and forth. Okay. Let's get started.
Let's do this thing.
So remote ID, the proposed rules came out December 26th through what's called an NPRM, or Notice of Proposed Rulemaking. The proposed rules were very different than what we expected to see from the ARC recommendations. And I would say that remote ID was supposed to be the license plate system in the sky, but this license plate system requires network-based operations and severely limits current drones and anyone who flies for recreational or hobby purposes, such as FPV racers, such as, bad examples, such as RC planes and helicopters, and even just the little kids who want to go out and enjoy the love of flight. Yep. These proposed rules were so long and so complex. As many of you know, the bifurcation and unorganized nature of this industry has really caused these rules to advance. And you're even seeing companies like AirMap, who tweeted today how excited they are for the FAA remote ID rules. I wonder why a company like that would be so excited for these provisions that may actually be illegal according to existing federal law. So we're going to go over all of that and more. What did I miss, Vic?
I think you did a pretty good job summing things up. Okay. Definitely.
Wow.
Kind of gets everybody up to speed where we're at. We're not going to get too deep into the different aspects of it, like standard and limited and no RID type systems. I think we covered that pretty well in the past. If anybody has any questions, obviously pop them up. AJ wants to know about the hobby builds. So we may or may not get into that.
We may not get into that, but when we do release this, this guide, which we're going to do during the webinar, so all of you can go download it. We actually talk very specifically about that. So under problems of proposed remote ID, subsection 4, under solutions, actually, no, it's actually under FPV solutions, subsection 5 and 6. We talk exactly about manufacturer requirements for drones as a whole, including hobbyists. So we definitely talk about that.
I want to real quick though, since you said FPV, I want to thank the FPV Freedom Coalition for being involved with this. I mean, they brought that mindset and that set of expertise into the comment guide, and awesome. Thank you guys very much for that.
Yeah, thank you to Dave Messina for helping me really get this whole thing together.
Yes, Tom, you have permission to distribute the guide anywhere you can.
So let's clarify that really quick, okay? So Tom, there's a really specific way that I want you to do this. The way that I've set up the comment guide is very specific. I'm going to give everyone a link to go download the guide. I want you to share the link to download the guide, Tom. Why? Very simple. What we're trying to do is aggregate a list of people who are actually genuinely interested in bettering the industry. With this email list, when we need to collectively bargain against the FAA, we now have a large list of pilots who are willing to stand by our side and do it. So please don't share the guide, share the guide, share the link. Okay, really, really, really important.
Yes, Don, it was technically published on the 31st, but released on the 26th. So yes, that's the publication date corresponds to how long we have to comment. So that's a good correction. Thanks, Don.
Yes. So let's talk really quick. You mind if I hit the AMA and you hit the DJI?
Why don't we go the other way?
Okay. Let's start with positivity, as Vic says. So
yes,
go ahead.
Well, if I'm starting with the AMA, it's not going to be very.
Oh no, I thought you were starting with DJI.
No,
okay.
No.
So as of many of you know, DJI came out with a paper today Brendan Schulman at Drone Laws tweeted it out.
Mhm.
And while I did retweet it, I didn't get a chance to read it.
I did. And it's awesome. Brendan gets right on point as usual, and just is really, I mean, I can't even say any better than that. He is on point, and he really, I want you to go ahead and go to that. You can find it anywhere, any of the groups. You can go ahead and just download it, read it, add that to your arsenal of things you're going to read before you start your comment writing. He does a good job. There's a number of them out there. Of course, Brendan's going to do an awesome job on something like that.
Yes, he really is, and I think that that most of what's in that paper is in line with what Drone U is trying to get out there, was saying, look, the way that remote ID has come out is not going to work for commercial pilots, FPV pilots, hobby pilots, rec pilots, RC planes, RC helicopter pilots, micro drones. Like, there are issues on issues on issues. So there was one comment that I wanted to read. I wanted to say, yes, we do need to have an effective response to this. That's also why in our guide, different from the DJI guide, we talk exactly about, on the front page, you can click to comment here, but this is all about maximizing the effects of your comment. And I will actually say some of this came directly from the FAA. When I met with them at CES, he goes, look, if you want to maximize your comment, do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
So we are trying to push that information out. Okay. So,
and actually what I read of Brendan's article, I didn't find anything we disagreed over.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I was just saying that to be careful.
No, I totally understand that.
Okay. We've answered all those questions. All right. So let's talk about really quick. I don't know if many of you saw the AMA response to this, but in an effort to squash extreme negativity from this office, I think it's important to say that while the AMA had good intentions, their 4-paragraph with instructions to go cut, copy, and paste I think is the worst thing possible for the industry. I mean, the AMA could do such a good job at riling up the troops, pushing out an email to say, these are the problems, here are the solutions, comment like this. But Vic, I mean, they literally pushed out a document that said, go cut, copy, and paste. And if I understand the NPRM correctly, if I cut, copy, and paste 10,000 comments, that equals 1, right?
That is, and I've had my issues with the AMA over the years. I'm a former member, so don't get me wrong on that aspect of it. But the leadership of the AMA, it has disappointed me a lot. And because I still get their stuff, and when I got that email or newsletter, I can't remember what it was, it says copy and paste, and they are they have a pretty good lobbying interest in DC, or they're pretty well connected there, because they help write some things in the NPRM, and they're okay, they're not great, but for them to then go and say, hey, to our members, copy and paste this. What happens in the NPRM process, whether it's NPRM stands for Notice of Proposed Rulemaking, I'm assuming everybody knows that. It's not just the FAA, any agency that puts out an NPRM, then they hire people to come read it and they aggregate. So everybody who's positive for this part, here, there's your pile, and there's your pile. And obviously it's not piles of paper, but when it comes to copy and paste comments, and I just went through the first 100 here just before the webinar, then each one of those copy and paste comments is aggregated as 1. So as of right now, and it's not going to be the same numbers all the way through. I read the first one. I didn't read them, but I scaled through the first 100 comments that are currently, which are over 5,000. So yay on that. That's awesome. Of the first 100 comments, 29 of them were obviously AMA copy and paste comments. That means 29% of those comments count as 1 comment. So you've got 71 comments one way and 1 another. And we're going to go a little bit deeper. I pulled up some comments, some great comments. Actually, one I totally disagree with, but it's a great comment. So I'm going to give him props for commenting very correctly. And some that were not what I would call coherent. So we'll get into that though when we talk a little bit more about the process of writing your comment.
I will say John Elliott does say that the AMA doesn't have the pull that they thought they did, and I couldn't agree more.
I think they're finding that out.
Yeah. So, Bill, I think that's a different article. This was actually like a white paper from DJI, if I understand that correctly. But moving on, so we know that look, cut, copy, and paste does not work. We know that if we all write the same comments, it doesn't help. We do know that we have to have comments, though, that showcase a personal story. Now, it's extremely important to be professional, right?
Yep.
But if you tell if you showcase your problems with the remote ID in a way that showcases the cause and effect to yourself, your business, your family, maybe your future kid that you want to take out flying so that they can learn to fly, like
or
me.
grandkid.
Yeah, or that. We've got to tell, or we've got to comment in story form, because if you say, look, with the way that the rules are written, I will no longer be able to do X. I've done 40 of those jobs this year, which would affect my income Y and Z. When you tell the story, I think it's really, really going to help create or maximize the effectiveness of your comment. And one of the things that I really want to make sure that all of you understand is, and this is to our point number 2, is that this comment guide is written in a top-down approach. It's really written in a if we solve these macro problems, the rest of the problems kind of fall in line. And what do I mean by that? Well, our biggest issue with this is a network-based remote ID system. Why not utilize the existing broadcast-based remote ID with this internet-based network ID? It, number one, potentially breaks FISA law. We've now had that actually confirmed by more sources than have said, well, it may. So that's something that I think, make sure you say may, but in my opinion, it does. So I'm not a lawyer though, nor do I pretend to be one.
I'm of the crowd that it's probably confirmed.
Well, hey, I'll take it.
Not confirmed.
But that being said, this network-based system could allow for the mass collection of data and severely segregate the airspace in different areas, because if little towns and counties have access to who's taking off, when, where, what, in their minds, they're going to be like, wait, we can build more revenue for our city. Possibly. Let's tax this.
Possibly.
That's just one maleficent issue with the mass collection of data. And John Elliott brings up the point that we actually added last minute to the guide, which is CUPA violations, which is essentially saying that if the NPRM is implemented as is, any person under the age of 18 would be broadcasting their position, and they would also be broadcasting, information about minors. So I genuinely believe that the way that the NPRM is written with the mass collection of data on pilots, that it is a wiretapping issue.
I think it is, and like you said, tracking the children issue, John brings up a very good point. We didn't get into that in the comment guide. It's we could have written a comment guide that was 40 pages long. So we had to hit the high points, and you can just kind of dig into some of that stuff yourself if you want.
True. Christopher Humphreys says, please spell check, and ideally wait. Yes. I will say, okay, just from a millennial perspective, more misspellings attract more attention. But believe it or not,
I'm not a millennial. I'm a baby boomer, and misspellings drive me nuts. And who's going to be reading this stuff? Basically, a government agency they hire contractors to read these. So if you get a millennial, who knows? Maybe it's a college kid needs work, or if you get an old retired fart and they hate that stuff, write professionally. Don't use some abbreviations, which I will go into here a little bit later. Be cohesive.
Yeah, you have to be cohesive. So should we just go ahead and launch it so that we can go through how to maximize their comments?
Do you want to talk about comments first and then launch it?
Go ahead.
Okay. So what I did before this, and it was, I could have done this for an hour, is I went to the comment page, which I'm sure many of you have as well, and I strongly suggest you do anyway, is go to the comment page, read some of the comments that you've written. You can learn two things. One, that's a good comment. I'm going to add that to it, or I didn't think about that. Yes. And B, what was this idiot thinking? First of all, let's talk about
Yeah.
How you, what?
One thing Owen says, Owen, in this comment guide, we talk about what to do after you comment. It isn't there. We will get to that.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. When you start out.
Yes, Sean Montgomery. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, we are. Actually, yeah, I won't go into that. But when you start the comment process, first thing you do is fill out your name. Please use your name. If you put anonymous, if you put, let's see, what were some of the examples I found? I found Donald Trump has written more than one. I'm pretty sure he hasn't written any. And maybe there's more than one person named Donald Trump. I have no doubt there. But if that's your name, use it. Somebody's name was, what was it? Oh, it's just worth checking here because it's so funny. It was not happy with, and last name was the FAA. Use your name. Okay, first of all, it's going to put some weight behind what you have to say. Okay, somebody who's going to read this is going to see whose the name it is, and if it's a fake name, if it's a stupid name, if it's anonymous, they're not going to give. It's just human nature. If you own a business, you'll understand. They're not going to give that same comment or that comment the same weight they would who might have either the same comment or an opposite comment. So you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't use your real name. And don't worry about using your real name because people don't care. No one's going to come after you. You're not going to end up on a list somewhere that says, oh, he said this. Nobody cares. Do it. Make your voice heard because that's imperative that your voice is heard.
What about business names?
Business names, I have not seen any, but, and I've seen, again, that's a good thing. I was going to bring that up too, is in some of the comments I've read, they sign it so-and-so CEO of X or so-and-so remote pilot or whatever. So they actually will sign their title, whether it's a business or not. So yeah, that's a good call. So you can sign it again, write a letter. I've seen Dear FAA, I've seen Dear Congress, I've seen, it's a letter format. And I've seen some that
are quite funny
or cannot be read on the air.
It's true.
The one we talked about.
Sad, but true.
Okay, here's one, and I'm not, well, this is from Anonymous. So again, it says, onerous rules designed to kill a safe hobby, period. Internet connection to fly in a remote field or quiet location, ? Overreaching and a depressing approach, do better. That was it. That's the extent of that.
See, I think we're going to get so much further when we present a problem and then showcase a solution because the government is trying to say, we can't see where pilot location is. Well, I'm sorry, but that's horse crap. Every airport has aeroscope or
almost
some white fox system. Right. They can see 80% of all drones right now. Let's make sure that the wool is not pulled over the public's eyes. And let's say to the public, no, no, no. And this is why you need to reach out to your friends and say something to go comment because it's no, no, no. The FAA's proposed remote ID rules will literally kill STEM education. How would you feel about that if you got behind the bill? You have to put it in large terms for people. And you also have to put it in large terms when you're reaching out, writing articles, like someone said, giving your opinion. For the last 5 years, DroneU has been one of the authorities about putting out articles and this is what we should do and whatnot. The time for that is over. Everyone needs to be writing articles in their local papers, in their local municipalities, in their states. They need to be reaching out to their state senators and congressmen. They need to educate them. And you need to present it as, well, wouldn't you not want the wool being pulled over your eyes? Wouldn't you want to know that the FAA and DHS can still see us? Wouldn't you want to know that there's a license plate system that already exists? And wouldn't you want to know that that license plate system doesn't give out minors information, break FISA law, or, oh yeah, cause essentially the virtual end of hobby flight?
Yep.
So
yeah, be personal. And you have to do that. Here's a guy, and I'm not going to use his name. Well, no, this is a good one.
No, sorry, I'm reading one of the comments, yeah.
He's Canadian. He comes down to the States to fly sometimes under hobby rules. And so he says right up front, his first sentence, I'm a Canadian. I live in Canada, which would mean you're Canadian. But I vacation in the US. And then he goes on 3, 4, 5 paragraphs to explain why he thinks this isn't a good idea. That's great. And he used his name. That's great. Here's one that starts out R-U, the letters R-U, out of your minds, exclamation question. The guy signed his name, so I'm giving credit for that. But it's just like, that's not good. Okay. And then he goes on to rant and rave and talks about gun control. Don't do that. Don't talk about gun control.
Hold on really quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
For those of you who are watching on YouTube, if your feed stops intermittently, if you just reload the feed, it will come back up. And just so you know, I am looking at your comments. I'm primarily looking at the webinar comments, but I am looking over. So there are some questions here. Let's see.
We'll try to keep the questions to the NPRM.
Yes.
We got a lot of good questions here, but we could go way off target.
Yeah. And won't answer the question of how hard is it to get a permit to fly in a national park. It's literally impossible. Fly from the outside and fly in. Just don't operate from the NPS. You're welcome. All right, let's get back.
Okay. Here's another one from Canada. The one we can't read on the air. This is a bloody joke. Grow the up. Sincerely, Canada. Again, unhelpful. Maybe might cause a little levity if somebody's reading all these boring comments. So, but still, don't do that. I was trying to find the one, and I wanted to use the guy's name. Go ahead if you got something.
So Sydney Fox says, if anyone is experiencing lag, just download Zoom and you can go right to the webinar. It's 0 lag and he's over LTE. Michael Kubovitz, I didn't say that right. Is the FAA full of political corruption and control too? The reason I brought this up is because someone mentioned in here, there should be transparency as to why the FAA radically departed from what was expected, and the ARC commenters could address that. They pulled the wool over our eyes. Here's the thing: if every cellular carrier paid off someone at the FAA or a congressman or women, then that's exactly why we're dealing with this, because this really benefits cellular carriers, which also, no offense, you're not very intelligent cellular carriers, because most of the people in which you want to serve for this network-based RID, like federal law enforcement or et cetera, can't use your private network. So anyway.
Now, wait a minute.
Sorry, I'm getting a little crazy here.
There was at least one cellular person on the DAC, and they, again, FAA actually, let's back up just a little bit. I think we need to establish something that we didn't establish right off the front, is we are not against remote ID, and I don't know any true commercial pilot out there who is. For any reasonable reason anyway.
I think if there's a remote ID that's broadcast only, no network, no internet, we don't kill the hobby, we don't kill FPV, we don't have these ridiculous manufacturer certifications, then yeah, sure, because it's going to allow, quote unquote, for more.
It'll open the skies up for us.
I sure hope so, but I'm waiting for someone to sue the federal government to say, you've been shutting the skies down for so long. When are you impeding business? So I think it's a good point. Two questions that came up here.
Sure.
I don't know the answer to. I'm hoping you do. Can you comment multiple times? And then the second question is, if you already wrote a comment, can you revise it?
Yes to the first, no to the second. Now, it's
yes, you can write multiple comments.
Yes, it's frowned upon to write more than one comment, but you can do that. So that is doable. And odds are we're going to have so many comments, it's not going to be that noticeable. As far as editing, I don't think so. I've never tried. So I don't think so.
So Tyler says, I think they are getting strict because Amazon and others want to deliver with drones. Yeah, they will be allowed to be out of line of sight with other drone business, so they can knock out all the other drone businesses in the sky. So
I would agree with the first part, where it's definitely probably the 135 guys. But I don't think they're going to.
And that goes to a very poignant point from one of our friends of name whom I can't mention, that at some point the FAA has to get their crap together. They're pooping a group. Because literally we are operating on two separate systems right now, and no one is like realizing this, but we have the part 135 and part 107. And at some point, these things are going to have to come to a head. And I think that's what they're trying to do with remote ID.
Remote ID will help that. Absolutely. It'll help they're talking about airspace integration. That's key. It really is. And safety. We understand that. And the integration part, I think, is more for 135 and 107s than it is for manned versus unmanned. And yes, somebody asked about, is it too long? I think there's a 5,000 character limit. I've heard. I've never tried to go that far. But you can also upload PDFs. Yeah. Which I discourage, but that's just me being an old fart who doesn't trust the computer to then open it up on the other end. That's just me being paranoid.
Someone, Blaine Perry from YouTube, says, I believe there's a bigger picture related to all this. It's just control. Look what's happening in Virginia.
We're not going there.
So someone made a good point. There's plenty of areas where I live that doesn't get cell signal with anyone.
Right.
And I agree with that. And there are a lot of areas that even I fly, every single 100% of the drone jobs I did outside of Drone U this year took place in areas with intermittent service, meaning if I was on the top of the hill, sure, I can ping a tower, but if I'm in the valley or anywhere not on the top of the hill, it's not happening. So
Right.
I hear you. And again, because of mass surveillance, because of privacy issues, Drone U, our position is no network RID at all, period. Go away, see you later, bye. So I think
now again, one thing I'm seeing a lot of comments in the NPRM and in the forums is when there's no internet, we can't fly, which if you're under a standard, that is not true. That is a misconception that we need to make sure we understand. Now, if you are in limited or if you're on UAS without, yeah, you're hosed. You can't fly. And so that's problematic. Even
well, here's the thing.
Just
every sorry.
We're both excited. We're going to talk over each other a lot. He'll shut me up. I'll shut him up. Dang it.
Did I lose you?
I lost my train of thought. Go ahead. I'll see if
I'm sorry, but I was going to say, go to your point about if a drone has intermittent internet. Everyone needs to remember the way that this proposed rules are written right now, none, zero, null, nada, none of the drones that we fly today will work. They do not meet multiple standards that were set by the proposed RID. And that's why we made this comment guide, because we took the top-down approach. Let's delete these 5-6 things. Okay, let's move forward. And I want to address a question really quick that was in relation to this. Let me find it really quick.
Okay, well, go ahead.
LJ Pro, actually, I would like you to answer this. Assuming that some standards will be passed, again, I'm not going to comply with network RID because it breaks FISA law. So you guys can do whatever you want. But anyway.
We are not going to officially advocate for compliance or non-compliance. Let's get that out there so the lawyers.
So assuming the standards will be passed, whatever they will be like, don't you think that there will be some aftermarket manufacturers producing some type of transponder devices to attach to our current out-of-date birds that they will relay? No, your drones do not meet the ANSI standards. And it's that simple. No, so sorry.
And in the NPRM, they talk the FAA talks about how they tried to figure out what they're going to do with retrofitting, and they said they're not even going to deal with it because it's not doable. And so, but then, as long as we're talking about legacy drones, they said that 80% of the drones out there will qualify under these rules, and I have no idea where they got that. I mean,
they were smoking the peace pipe.
Well, maybe they were in Colorado.
John Elliott, I love you, man. NPRM is very vague on what constitutes internet not available, and I said that because it's on page 288 of the original.
Right. And again, there's 2 different page number systems, so sorry for the confusion. Some people are working off the pre-published, which is the 300 and whatever, and I happen to have the 3-column 78 or 84 page one. So
Arthur, my regular cell phone doesn't get consistent signal in Denver.
I'm sorry. I feel you, Arthur.
Okay, I want to touch this one really quick. So John Bouquet,
well, I know who Arthur is. Hi, Arthur. Welcome. Sorry.
John Bouquet says, how are they going to police these new laws? Okay, so I think it's very clear. We all understand there is an extreme lack of enforcement when it comes to FAA laws. And I've been learning recently that even some federal law enforcement is restricted in what they can do to enforce, which is unfortunate, because I think enforcement would really help Part 107 operators and the industry as a whole. But here's the thing. We all know there's an extreme lack of enforcement. We cannot count on lack of enforcement and just let these rules run and say, oh, it's going to be okay, no big deal. We can't do that. It hasn't worked in the past. Look what the AMA did in the past. Is that going to work for us again? No. Okay, so look, we all know most local cops have enough on their plate anyway, that they're probably not going to deal with the reports that the FAA wants them to file anyway. Again, we cannot count on lack of enforcement. It is not a worthwhile strategy. Go ahead.
Right. And what I want to do is drop down and see what Tom said.
Oh, wow.
Tom,
look at
I
what
swear, we need to fly Tom in next.
Tom Powers, he needs to be on the flight crew. He already is in a sense, but he.
Oh, thank you, Owen.
Yeah, he also said, at least one insurance carrier I work for will want the RID data for their records and coverage and determinations on premium. Exactly why I hate this.
Yep.
Ah!
Yep. So thank you, Brandon. Standard, yeah, okay. So
Brian.
yeah, I was talking about standard versus limited, and when you can have you can fly under standard, but you can't under limited, and without internet, and so that's going to be problematic in a lot of rural areas. It's going to suck rocks and shut down everybody who unless you're flying a bird with all that stuff on it, it just is going to suck rocks.
Agreed. Jerry Freeman commented, the only problem with broadcast setup is that 400 feet is not enough. And he's talking about if you don't have broadcast on your drone, you're limited to 400 feet laterally. That means if I take off here, it's 400 feet and then a dome. Now, here's the thing. In our guide, we actually talk about how hobbyists should be allowed to fly in Class G. There really shouldn't be any broadcasts at all or remote ID at all. Now, if a hobbyist is flying inside of controlled airspace, doesn't Lance give them the notification that they're flying there?
Yep. Now that means maybe you can't apply for a sunrise to sunset Lance authorization. Maybe if you're a hobbyist and you're flying under, without any of the RID equipment, then you say, okay, I'm going to be flying here from 3 o'clock in the afternoon until 5 o'clock, and that's all you can do. Which that's a week around. That's a workaround where it's very possible to do that. But the way it's set up now, no, you can't.
Yeah, and Tyler makes such a good point. This will destroy my business. I can't afford other drones right now. And someone says, so the drones work or they are not legal. That's correct. You could fly in a FRIA, but remember the FAA has to approve a FRIA, and they've already created the advisory circular on this, which is troubling, but it is what it is. Someone says
something about tamper-proof.
Frank
said, yeah, your drone has to be tamper-proof. Name me one electronic.
I don't think they say that. They do.
Yeah, it's actually in here. I'll see if I can find it. Well, don't worry about it. It is. They have to be tamper-proof. And you can't tamper with them. Name one electronic piece of equipment that's not tamperable.
I can't, because I could tamper with the drone without touching it. I could spoof GPS and show that. Like, here's the thing with this remote ID system, the way they're asking it, if I was a nefarious pilot, it's still easy to just go do whatever I want to go do. If anything, it empowers them more, because if they're not on the RID system, then they're literally flying under the radar. So anyway, all right, I'm gonna keep going. Okay, let's see. DJI's solution appears to be the best. All right, let's go ahead and launch this thing. Okay. Are you guys ready? All right, let's get started. If you will go to droneadvocacykit.com, okay, and on the bottom of the page, all you have to do is type in your name and email, and it will give you the 6-page guide. Remember, when you're sharing the guide, please share the link. That way we can organize and maximize our efforts in fighting against this crap. Okay, all right, sorry.
No, we're not doing this to gather all these email addresses for Drone U. We want to have a cohesive group of people who, when we need to take this further, when we need to take this further, we can put out the call and say, boom. We can say, okay, everybody who did this, here you go. So we're not going to sell it to Avon or whatever. I don't know.
But here's the thing: we want you to share with people. It's just about sharing it the right way, because we really look. This bifurcated, unorganized industry has only hurt us significantly, and we need to stop that crap right now. Okay. So if you missed the link, it's droneadvocacykit.com. John, thank you for telling me how I look 12 inches away. I appreciate the weight loss comment. It's funny, all cell phones don't meet their tamper-proof criteria. I'm glad we have some hackers in the group. Certainly the airlines are not tamper-proof.
Ouch.
All right. I like the current Lance system. I use it in and out of, and I'm not going to say that out loud. Here's the other thing with the whole network ID system. I don't want to have to pay a USS RID a monthly fee, nor do I want to pay the government a monthly fee. Okay. So just so you know, you guys are the first to get this guide. We will be, in fact, I'll just post it right now on the business
Keystone
page.
Drones, the only safe computer is one that's turned off and doesn't have a battery in it.
Well, and is not connected to the internet.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, let's have some
Tell you what,
fun.
I want to do one more quick thing of the comments. I did find this one. I actually didn't save it, so I had to go back and find it again. This is, I'm going to say his name. His name is Michael Trailer. Thank you very much for commenting, Michael. If you hear this, or if you know Michael, tell him thank you. I do not agree with what he said, but he said it so eloquently, and he started out good morning. So again, like a letter, and he ended it with very respectfully, Michael Trailer. So this is a very good example of what to do. You can read it, look him up, you can read it. I don't agree with everything he said, but he's a peace officer, so I understand, a law enforcement officer, so I understand his point of view. I had a meeting with somebody that is up doing that kind of thing at the federal level last week to get their input, and he's kind of in agreement with us. But it's a very good written, a very well written comment. So I think if you're looking for one to say, how can I write it? Mr. Trailer did a really nice job of writing it, and some of those other ones, Mr. Anonymous, or Mrs., I guess, I shouldn't be sexist. I can't harp enough, just be professional about this. Write your objections, give them suggestions, write your story. Tell them how this is personally going to affect you, and for the sake of everything holy, don't copy and paste anymore, please. AMA, if you're listening to this, I'm sure this will get back to you. Please put out another paper saying the same thing, that you can, here's your talking points. You guys have a heck of a database to work with, and you've got a good base of members. Use that to the advantage of the industry, please, because you have the power to do it. Please. Sorry, I'll get off my horse now.
Yes, Desi, go for it, please.
Hi, Desi.
Please, please, please. I just tweeted it out, so we're good there.
Many ways to do that.
Yeah.
Personal stories meshed with these guidelines are super. Absolutely, Sydney. Thank you. Or Sid, I guess.
Drone U comment guide to help.
Okay, let's go to the Facebook thing or the YouTube thing. Can we conclude our comments? Okay, hold on. Let me see what Sean's saying. Oops, never mind. Sorry,
Oh,
Sean.
sorry. I thought you wanted me to go to YouTube.
So this will crash the department.
Vola Drone X. So this will crash the department before it takes off.
Oh, read about it.
Huh. Is there a way to join the Zoom meeting? Yes. Let me share the link on YouTube.
Yeah.
Zoom. Let's go to my account.
As long as you don't sign out of the other one.
Right. Webinars.
That would be unfortunate.
Topic. Please don't join it. And where do you invite? It's like, it typically says copy invitation.
Oh, there's registration email.
Okay. Oh, good. That's nice that they copied to clipboard because I don't have bingo. Okay, there you go, YouTube.
Okay.
May the drone be with you. I like that, Norman. So, is Boeing supposed to be an FAA certified manufacturer? Unfortunately, yes. Sorry, I had.
Oh, there we are up there.
Oh, thanks.
Hey,
Okay.
yay, we're back.
Whoa.
Okay. Whoa. Hey, we got some things there.
Oh,
so what else do we want to cover real quick?
I'd like to go through this guide. There's a question
Sure.
here, though. Oh.
CCC.
That was after watching a live CES feed.
Yeah, there was somebody on there.
It was the CES show.
John
They
brings up a
cannot
good
take
point.
away my right to enjoy my hobby on private property. I follow the rules and I'm not criminal. Because I want to fly off my own runway? Interesting. Wow. I'm glad you guys are getting fired up. You need to reach out to your friends and ask them if they've commented. Maybe the film industry will help out. I just reached out to my contacts, actually. Thank you for the kit. I am concerned about safety. Okay. Do we know the individual parties that drafted the NPRM? Let me look really quick. DHS.
Yeah, that is, I think that's a safe assumption, if not a confirmation that, like we mentioned last webinar, the FAA had this ready to go, I think 12 or 14 months ago. And some of the security agencies, some of the alphabet agencies got a hold of it and just slammed on the brakes and said, no, we have some concerns, understandable concerns.
But we don't need to give up privacy for security.
Mm-mm.
Everyone thinks it's either privacy or security. That is not true. You are falling in a trap. We can have both.
Mm-hmm. FAA wants this to be, let's see if I get their wording right. They'll guarantee privacy, but not anonymity. is how they have described it to us and some other people when talking person to person about some of this stuff at different seminars and meetings. This system does not do the privacy aspect. I don't think anybody's looking for anonymity. Well, some people are, which means they're not going to do this anyway. But those of us in the industry are not looking for anonymity. We're not. We don't want it. We want safety and we want privacy, but we do not want anonymity. If you want anonymity, then there's going to be issues that you probably shouldn't be doing anyway. But you've got law enforcement. Let's say you've got a SWAT situation going on. Now, yes, I know they're exempt, but that's just a good example. And the other example that's not, and I'd like to get Mickey Osterreicher on a word on this, is if you're I think the example I used last time was, let's say you're in Denver and you're working for a TV station and you're doing a story on gangs. You're going to go out on East Colfax and fly around a little bit, or out in Montbello where there's gang activity. And if a gang person sees a drone flying around, they're going to pull out their little app and look and see where that person is. So you are automatically putting a journalist or possibly a first responder, I know there's that exemption, in danger. And us as well, just us regular old DSPs are in danger because there's a lot of lunatics out there. That's something I'm really going to harp on. And I'm sorry, I'm going to just, the safety of the UAS operator is paramount. We cannot let the general public know where we're flying. We fly, Todd and I both wear orange vests when we're flying. So somebody who sees us can find us. But I do not want to put Joe Blow, who has no business knowing where I'm at, to come find me, because he can easily. So, okay, I'm off that high horse.
All right, sorry, I am going to boost this post for $1,000 and hopefully more people will learn about it. So yeah. All right, let's go ahead and go through this really quick. Okay, so if you have the guide in front of you, what do you guys think of my title?
It's backwards.
Oh yeah, oopsie, okay. So it says, let's get rid of the FAA's proposed remote ID. Get it? Okay.
There are some hot links in here too, just so you know.
Oh yeah, so if you actually comment here, if you click that, it will take you right to the NPRM and you can comment. Okay, so go ahead.
But don't go right there from the guide and comment.
Read the guide first.
Read the guide first. Write out your comment.
Yeah.
Edit your comment, reread your comment, walk away, have a cup of coffee. No, don't have a couple beers because then you come back. So just walk away from a while. You've got till March 2nd. We are not in panic state yet, nor do we need to be.
Yes.
Because things written in panic don't work very well. So we got to make sure we don't do that.
Yep.
You've got plenty of time to sit down, write an intelligent, thoughtful, personal, professional comment, and then copy and paste that comment into the comment section.
You got to do a PPP. You're a pilot who writes a professional, personal story.
Oh, there we go. I guess.
I don't know. That was a stretch.
That was a stretch.
That was a long
but
stretch.
I give you credit for it.
Well, thanks. All right, you ready to get into this? Am I cutting you off?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. So I'm not going to go over the why. Oh, I'm not going to go over how to comment on the remote ID NPRM. In the top right corner, we say what not to do. Don't use templated comments. Don't name call, threaten, or blame others. Don't state the problem without stating a solution. But do provide research and facts as evidence to your issues, because I think as point number 5 under how to maximize your comment, we say, don't be afraid to illustrate how safe the technology has been thus far. And
this many deaths from drones.
Yeah. And how many crashes?
Well,
maybe this. This last one's a little
questionable. A crash between manned and unmanned.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. So
I had this many crashes.
I actually had
myself.
I thought I
just one. Actually.
I thought I was going to get a hat trick of not having a crash for 3 years, but I had a crash in November, so there's that. Anyway, okay, so why are we doing this? Don't forget, fight for our rights to fly. We've got to have a unified response, maximize our comments, and increase the efforts by contacting aviation subcommittee congressmen and women. We'll hit that in the last little bit.
We only have 10 minutes left.
Yeah, we only have 8 minutes left. Okay, so really quick, let's go to page 2. After commenting on the remote ID. So remember, commenting is just the first step here, guys. In order to make sure that we get what we want, you've got to What?
Get what we need.
What's necessity?
What's a necessity? Yes, not just want. We need this.
Yes, I agree. Okay, so share the guide via the link like we talked about, but also you need to start, and we talk about this. Remember, after commenting, reach out to your local congressmen and women. I talk about mention how RID ruins children's future via STEM education through manufacturer certifications. You've got to tell a story. And remember, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. John Rupert, I never thought I would say that again, but hey, here it is. And I say that because you have to tell the story in a means to help the people reading it understand the maximum impact that it's going to have. Okay, so really, really, really important. We also talk about step number 2. You've got to reach out to every one of your drone friends and ask them if they've commented, post on social media, and then finally write your local business insider or paper and tell your personal story about how these proposed rules would kill your business. Okay, so step 3, problems of the proposed remote ID rules. This is where we actually go into the biggest issues. You can see here that we've got the problem, and then we talk about the solution. Because as I said on page 1, I think it's really important when you present a problem and you tell a personal story that you also need to present an amicable solution,
Yes.
which in this case is actually really easy, thanks to people like Brendan Shulman, thanks to people like DJI. And I know a lot of FPV racers out there are wondering, will the DJI FPV qualify under the broadcast-based RID? And the answer is yes, but we still need to protect all of those people who have been flying for 20, 30 years and have RC planes. So tomorrow we're going to have John McBride on the podcast and talk exactly about that.
Yay.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah. So, also, if we now move to page 3, we talk about implementing broadcast-based ID only to inhibit quote unquote FISA and CUPA violations. And both of those are linked. Okay, so really, 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 really,
I want
really
to point out something Don said real quick because it's important. It says basis is not just safety, it's about security. All we need is one drone attack on US soil. Kiss the industry goodbye. The problem with that, Don, is that this is not going to prevent that. And that's exactly the point that I had coffee last week with a person who works with an alphabet agency for the very reason to talk about their thoughts, or his thoughts, because they're his thoughts on the NPRM, and that is not going to stop the guy and the gal intent on doing damage.
Yeah, Owen just said that last comment. I can still build a non-compliant UAS and use it for evil.
Yeah,
that's what the thing is that DHS, like, no offense, but you guys, like,
they don't understand.
Smarten up, guys. Come on.
Like, they don't understand what they're doing to the industry.
And you know what? Ignorance is bliss. But let's
okay,
educate.
Go ahead. Sorry, I had to point out what Don said. That was a good point, Don.
We got to educate. So, and DHS visits Owen in 24 hours. No. We're all Americans here. Okay. And again, this is why we have to be professional in our response, because you really want to piss off someone like that. You have to say, look, I understand you got these intentions, but we don't have to give up privacy and ruin an industry to get what you want. All right. Now, if we go back to the problems under step 3, subsection 2, I'm on page 3. Okay. And then we're going to go through some of these comments because there's now another 50 comments. Pilot privacy is a must. We already know that drone pilots have been shot at, faced physical altercations, and encountered safety concerns due to inability to seek and avoid while in flight due to loud or aggressive bystanders. Notice that we use the FAA's performance-based language here, seek and avoid. We are trying to use the language of the FAA and also kind of incite you to do the same thing. Because again, if we get on their level and we calm down and we say, look, guys, like, this is a very real problem. And while it's literally going to be impossible to enforce what you're doing, we're not going to let it get to that point, because not only do you break existing federal law, but you're going to ruin an industry and you're going to ruin the livelihoods of hundreds of thousands of people. It's that simple.
160,000 remote pilots right now.
And how many FPV pilots? How many hobby pilots? How many kids
8
are
to
out there
1,
flying?
I think.
How many schools have STEM programs where they're building drones?
I talked with somebody 2 weeks ago here in Colorado that's going to build a STEM program.
Thank you, Todd Campbell. I appreciate that. By the way, really nice guy. And thanks for coming to our mapping class. So under that, I write solutions, okay? And then the next problem that we talk about are existing drones are not compliant. By the way, there have been RC planes, helicopters, and drones longer than the FAA has been around. If you don't know that, I might just have to publish my video presentation from NAB from 2014.
The AMA has been around longer than the FAA.
I know that. It's just that the AMA is showcasing their age right now, and we need some young leadership over there.
We do need some young leadership there.
So sorry for the geriatric joke, but I couldn't resist. Anyway, okay. Now moving to page 4. If you notice, going from page 3 where we talk about existing drones are not compliant, on page 4 we talk about what would happen to all these RC planes, all of these legacy drones that they would have to operate in a FRIA. They would have to be 400 feet laterally from takeoff. And the days of taking your kids into the backyard or to the park to go out and fly would be over.
Yep.
Okay. Now, Jeremy Countryman chimes in, and this is one of our next steps, Jeremy. So couldn't agree more with you. Do you think starting, oh, sorry.
Well, we lost you.
Sorry, so many comments flooding in.
That's awesome, guys. We appreciate it.
Okay. So, would starting a petition on the government's website help if the FAA isn't required to listen? Then maybe we can influence someone over their head. Yes, and that's also why we're going to talk about aviation subcommittee. That's also why we're going to have another webinar that's strictly focused on what do you do after you comment. So, yeah. All right. I don't know which train I was on. Paul, my role in my company is to develop a drone program for our clients, and my specialty, former combat pilot in this country, is security. This is why I'm in charge of drone safety issues for our clients. Demonstrate how I can hack a network-based system can add value. Oh, that's so easy. That's easier than doing a regular drone hack. Okay, I'm not getting on that one. I mean, you could literally go on. You could go on Amazon and buy a device and do it. It's it's like $40. It's not hard. All right. Also, if the NPRM stands, think about the liability it opens up to you for frivolous lawsuits and aerial trespass, which is not a real law. Okay.
Not yet, but it probably will be. I think we killed that duck.
All right. Last comment before I go back into the guide. My experience with traditional RC versus drones offering respect and education works. That's what you're suggesting. It is, but also I want to make this point. The days of divide and conquer are over. We are no longer going to divide between hobby pilots and commercial pilots. We are all pilots. We all love to fly. We all have a passion for flight. And it's time to fight for that right. It's time to say, no, no, no. Get your head out of your ass, put it in the sky. I know that didn't make you happy. I'm sorry. And here's the thing, like we have to be the accountability to our friends. We have to ensure the sharing happens. We have to ensure the commenting happens. We have to go on Twitter and reach out to prominent people. I've reached out to Richard Branson to ask us for help in getting money to go lobby and fight this thing. Like I'm doing everything I can. But it's not going to be enough. We need everyone to join behind us, which is why we've been working with other people like the FPVFC, the Freedom Coalition, to make this document. And sure, I wrote 80% of it, but without them and us coming together, it doesn't matter.
And other people who we've been talking with, we've had a couple meetings with some other people, are also putting stuff out. So it's all going to be this cohesive. This is what we can do. So it's not going to be, I want to fight for my side. I'm going to fight for my vertical. I only care about commercial. I only care about FPV. That's not going to work, and it's not working. And bridging those gaps are what's happening right now in this industry.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. So okay, we're going back to point number 3 under problems in the guide. We just talked about legacy drones. We just talked about RC modelers and the AMA. If you notice under the solution, we say eliminate ANSI standards, carve out a rule for FPV drones, RC planes, and RC helicopters that would still be allowed to fly in G airspace with non-controlled airspace without free limitations, allow recreational flight of model aircraft, all types in controlled airspace by utilizing the LANC system. Why do we say that? Because that gives them the FAA what they want. By the way, flight test.
Yeah, I was going to say.
If anyone has a contact or anything, I thought that was Rotor Riot. We need to do a dual podcast with Flight Test.
Oh, I thought Dave was gonna do that. Yeah, definitely.
So anyway, really important. All right. So those are the solutions. We also say allow home-built drones and eliminate the need for FAA-approved manufacturers. No offense, but I know there are some extremely intelligent people at the FAA in the research and science department. I just don't think those people have a voice in the FAA. So I would seriously question the FAA's ability to disseminate a good manufacturer from a bad one.
It's just fill out the paperwork, call it happy.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not really solving any problems.
No.
All right, last, is it the last? No, it's not the last. Fourth problem, proposed rules hurt the dream of flight. And this is where we really talk about eliminating FRIAs, and we really hone in on additional things that we wrote in solutions for point number 3. Yeah. Rotor Riot solution sucks. You need to talk to Josh.
That's somebody in the Rotor Riot area. So
Yeah.
I don't think that's an official thing, but
Yeah.
I've heard that too, John.
Hey, John Elliott, what are you? Oh, I see what you're saying now.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
he's saying,
2 or
oh
3 above
no,
that.
because of Rotor Riot.
Yeah.
I agree. That's also, and I just want to say this really quick, Vic. I wrote this guide to try to unite everyone's ideology on an amicable solution. Because if everyone has all these, again, bifurcated solutions, right, we get nowhere.
Yeah, we've got to come together as an industry and as a community.
Yeah. John Elliott, it's a video on.
Yeah, I've heard of it, and I haven't seen the video because I don't watch many videos. But that's not my truck.
So the office alarm is now going off next door. Maybe DHS really is showing up. So
if this goes black, call 911.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, it's really going.
Yeah, that's right. Just went back in.
Okay.
There, now
okay. So
yes, Tyler, women who drone, definitely. Okay,
yeah,
thanks,
John
John.
Elliott,
I'll look at
that.
that. Yeah, I'll look at that, Jonathan. Thank you. It wasn't my fault.
That's funny, Owen.
Oh, and you're a rock star. So where were we?
Okay,
sorry.
Yeah, sorry. There's a really good comment feed going on. I'm not going to touch it though, because they're all really good points. And by the way, for the point talking about privacy and having encounters with nefarious people, imagine if you're a female alone. Imagine if you're a very young adult alone. I mean, more bad things can happen than good things, frankly. And I will just say, it is drone use prerogative to allow law enforcement to have pilot-based location.
I think that's necessary.
That's okay. Really, but here's the thing: no one else can.
No.
Period.
No.
Okay. It's not helping anything. We really don't need. How do I say this?
Well, you're thinking, Josh, don't worry about that. Mike Lee's bill is going nowhere fast. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about it, Christopher.
Yeah.
Lee's bill is going nowhere.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so I kind of lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
Law enforcement should have
law enforcement needs access to our location.
But
that's the whole point of our ID.
But no one else.
No.
Okay. And also, as pilots, I'm not going to pay for law enforcement's ability to see me. It's not my job to organize law enforcement agencies. Okay. They can buy equipment or utilize the airport's equipment to see who's flying. I'm not going to pay a monthly fee.
It's going to be an app on your phone with maybe to figure out where we are. Like what DJI
I'm not
did.
okay with that.
No, but no, we're not going to pay for it. But they're talking about cost, and I was going to ask Brendan. I forgot the cost of the piece of equipment that goes on your phone to pick up the broadcast data already available out there, and they use DJI obviously because it's a DJI product. Is not that much. It's not that expensive to deal with. So how many breathalyzers are in the cop cars? How many canine units are in cop cars? I mean, that's kind of an extreme example. But this is doable. So let's say there's a drone report and somebody needs to run and go that way. So yeah, we're gonna have to wrap up pretty soon. I gotta get to the airport. But it needs to happen, but it needs to happen to a very limited number of people. Very limited number of people have to have access to that, and they have to have access to that for a good reason, not just arbitrarily.
Yes. By the way, Ricky Thomas has a really good point about how this law hurts hobbyists more than commercial pilots. and that once 12 months expired, no more FRIAs will be developed. I didn't know that.
No, once after 12 months, no more can be, the more applications will be accepted after 12 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is.
And by the way, again, I'm gonna, unfortunately and respectfully, I'm gonna disagree with you.
No, fine. We disagree about stuff.
With broadcast RID, we do not need anything on our phones to showcase where we are. We don't need any network infrastructure over the internet. So respectfully, I disagree. With the existing remote ID, it's already aggregating that data, and it's through the remote, not our phone. So again, I think that
Well, I'm talking about a cop who might need something on their phone to grab that info.
Oh, well, and by the way, if a cop, so hey, law enforcement, anyone who's watching this, just buy a Google Pixel 3 phone, okay? And then you're gonna get a Wi-Fi antenna, and then you're gonna do, I think the app is called Wi-Fi Pathfinder, and you can look at every drone in the sky within about a click of you. So you're welcome. That's about $40, and yeah, the government can see where we're flying. I'm not gonna pay or do anything else. I'm like setting a clear line, not passing this line. All right, we've got to wrap this up.
Yep.
So the last, one of the last issues is we talk about FPV in general, and this statement came 100% from the FPV Freedom Coalition. And again, we're really, really, really impressed with that. We really appreciate it. And we talk about shielded operations, which would cover FPV races. So I wod really love your feedback on that. Would love it. We also end with micro drones and discuss that. And then we say about DroneU, about FPV FC. So just so everyone knows, we are going to have another webinar in February, and we are going to discuss after you comment what to do. Also, guys, you have to hold each other accountable. So important. Okay. Glenn LeBay, where is the download file? droneadvocacykit.com. Again, for everyone who's watching.
Oh, thanks, Josh.
Yeah, droneadvocacykit.com. If that's the Josh Cook from FPVFC, dude, words cannot express how much I appreciate you. Yeah. All right. Sorry, I had to get that in there. So yeah, droneadvocacykit.com. Remember, don't share the guide, share the link. We're trying to get everyone together who's willing to fight. This way we can organize, because we need to organize. Really, really, really important. Okay.
Hey, Mark.
So anyway, thank you again. Join us for the next webinar in February, where we're going to talk about, after you comment, what is next.
Definitely. And this will stay up on YouTube, correct?
Yeah, it will stay up on YouTube.
So once that's up and gone, you guys can, yeah, we have lots of cats to herd. Thanks, Christopher. We're going to, you can also then go ahead and share this podcast with those who share the link for that YouTube as well. Because we ended up with over 10,000, I think.
Oh no, it was over 40,000.
Oh, 40,000 views on our last, and that's, we're not saying that to brag. We're saying that to say thank you. It's very humbling that you guys are going to do that and going to share that kind of stuff, and it's really going to help this industry. I think what DHS and the FAA have done is they've given this industry a catalyst to come together and get the outlaw FPV guys with the drone commercial guys, with the hobby guys, with the the old AMA guys, and yeah, I agree, Tyler. I did kind of talk a little bit about that, but we can all come together and do this. My comment to AMA was not to divide AMA from us. It's to try and bring them back into the fold. So thank you for that, guys. Agree. And also, I just want to say huge special thanks and thank you to Josh and Dave Messina. I know Josh's last name, Josh Cook, excuse me, and Dave Messina, because if we hadn't come together with FPV Freedom Coalition, if we hadn't come together with Drone DJ and other names that we think are smarter to name, we really, really appreciate that. And we're going to be trying to get on other podcasts, joining podcasts. We're going to be really trying to unify the direction of the fight too. And that's where we really, really, really need your help. So, and just to give you an audit or accountability, Vic has been on numerous TV stations in Denver and Colorado. I just went on, I guess it's not national news talk radio, even though it is published nationally. I just went on KKOB radio and explained over 5 states, the big issues and everything. We're going to publish that in a podcast tomorrow, so you guys can watch it. In addition, we're working with a couple big industry giants.
to do a PR release and get more out. So, you know, guys, it's just, we need your help. We can only do this with you. You have got to share the link to the guide. You've got to ask people if they've commented. Make sure it's intelligent comments. If you love to fly, it's time to take some time and work on ourselves. Okay. It's so important. Christopher Humphrey, thanks for posting that. Everyone look at the members on the aviation committees. He just posted the link.
We're meeting with ours.
Yeah.
I'm meeting with mine, but for the whole Colorado drone thing, but that's going to be brought up as well.
Don't forget, keep writing articles in your local papers. Super excited to post an article from John Elliott, and want to say really quick how much I appreciate you and excited to be doing more with you in the future. So
Mark Bender also pointed something out real good. He flew up, it went up a little ways. He's going to have a presentation with the drone advocacy kit at his AMA field. So if you're part of a group, if you're AMA, if you're DUGN, if you're just, we have Denver Drone Club. We have the Denver Drone Pilot Social Hour where we get together and drink beer and talk about drones and fly, but not in that order. Every month. And I'm going to be talking about this here. I'm going to be talking Friday at UAS Colorado. We're going to have a meeting as well. So everything, anytime you can get together with drone pilots and drone operators and FPV guys and hobby guys, talk about the NPRM. Use this comment guide or whatever other stuff you have at your disposal and get this word out.
Yeah, I agree again. And, you know, it's so important in how you get the word out too. You know, if you guys go out there and you give the guide out at your AMA fields, try to put all the emails in there so that when we email everyone about the next webinar, when we email everyone about fighting together, you got to understand that we are all in this for the love of flight. And on that, we're going to have to go.
Yeah, I had a plane to catch an hour and 20 minutes.
Don't you mean 2 hours?
6:55.
Oh, I thought it was a 7:35. Okay. All right, guys. You guys rock. We really appreciate you. Thank you to FPVFC. Thank you to Hobbyists. Thank you to Drone DJ.
Thanks, Christopher.
Thank you, Kenji. Thank you, ADI, for the little help you did give us.
Yeah,
we appreciate it.
That was great. Great insight the other day. Thank you.
So expect to see some more from us. And guys, please share the Facebook post from our Facebook page, facebook.com/DroneU. And again, please, it's up to you guys. This fight is in our hands. We have a good strategy to win. We just need everyone to be on the same field.
Yep.
So if you're like us, then let's start to fight.
Amen.
All right.
You guys rock. Thanks for everything, guys. Fly safe. Have fun.
Yeah. The one guy says every pilot in the country should be concerned, and the FAA rules guide all over the world, so everyone should be concerned. I could not agree more.
Europe remote ID rules are better than ours.
Yeah. So all right, let's end.
All right, guys.